Thank you, and can I just say thank you for putting the speed cameras on the remaining part of the A10 in Enfield. Already I'm hearing from local residents that noise is reduced, but also that actually from car drivers that actually their journey is better because speeds have been smoothed out and there's no longer the braking and stopping and starting that there used to be. So reducing speed has many benefits, not just safety. But I wanted to ask you about 20-mile-an-hour boroughs. Enfield is currently consulting on local streets, residential streets and town centres becoming 20 mile an hour. Will you applaud them for doing that?
First, I don't want to prejudge what decision the council may take, but it's worth reminding Londoners that 95% of the roads in London are controlled directly by 32, 33 boroughs, not by TfL. And I call the councils who have decided to reduce by default all their roads to 20 miles per hour a coalition of the willing in terms of their commitment to this issue. And I think Caroline Russell articulated the difference it can make in terms of 20 miles per hour. And I'm really pleased she raised with me some months ago the problems with the previous cameras in that part of London. Some of the images I saw of sort of racing because people became aware of that issue. Yeah, so thank you very much. And it's really important, and I'm really pleased Enfield are doing this in terms of working with the residents to get a right solution. And fingers crossed, we get more boroughs taking this brave decision.
And you, in your last answer to Caroline, you alluded to the fact that this is not anti-car. In fact, people campaigning against this proposal spouting misinformation. They're suggesting that every road in the borough is going to 20 mile an hour, which is not the case. It is residential streets where, quite frankly, you shouldn't be going more than 20 miles an hour and town centres. But also trying to say that this is yet another anti-car initiative. What can you and we do to make sure that the debate is framed around one about better safety, better health and air quality and protection of the most vulnerable, especially our children?
I think a question addresses some of the points I would have raised, which is actually there's some research being done. I'll come to safety in a second. Having lower speed limits has a negligible impact on journey times and congestion, as they're largely dictated by junction delays, not vehicle speeds. That's the issue when it comes to those issues. The second point is when I share with her this and as I said, every statistic is a person and a family. There has been a 75% in reduction of children killed. 75% reduction in children killed in 20 miles per hour areas compared to previously. That shows, without being too pompous, this is saving lives. We've got to recognise that most people who are killed or seriously injured are pedestrians. The second group are cyclists. And so it's really important that we, understand and explain to some drivers who may think this is anti-car, the reasons why we're doing this, and to try and make them understand why it's an important policy.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair.
OK, let's then move on to Assembly Member Bakari, supporting women and girls.
Well, thanks for the question. I've made tackling violence against women and girls a top priority, overseeing a record investment of £233 million into tackling violence against women and girls and its root causes. Through the 2022-2025 VOG strategy, working with partners, we've reached millions of Londoners through education, campaigns and provision of vital services. Ensuring that victims and survivors, including the most vulnerable and disadvantaged in our society, can access the right support is at the heart of the strategy's success. Safe accommodation is essential to supporting high-risk victims and survivors of domestic abuse. I'm proud to have overseen investment of over £53 million in domestic abuse safe accommodations, DASA, supporting more than 40,000 victims and survivors. We know that black and minority ethnic women and girls experiencing VOG are particularly vulnerable. As part of my approach to support London's diverse communities, I've invested £6 million through my VOG Grassroots Fund, providing vital support to organisations helping support victims and survivors of VOG in marginalised communities. Since 2022, I've also overseen investment of £2 million to prevent and support victims of harmful practices, including through my FGM Stops Here campaign and by establishing the UK's first citywide harmful practices community education pilot. The strategy makes clear that the solution to tackling VAUG lies in changing men and boys' harmful attitudes and behaviours. And that's why we invested over £1 million into the VAUG Prevention Schools Toolkit and launched the multi-award winning Have a Word and Say Mate to a Mate campaigns, which have proven to empower people to call out misogynistic behaviour.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm so sorry to interrupt just slightly earlier than you wish, but I just wanted to let you know that Southall Black Sisters are here in the gallery here listening to your answer. I want to know whether you're aware of the fact that public funding from MOPAC for their life-saving wraparound service has come to an end at the end of this month. Do you agree that this is going against your own strategy, that this decision by MOPAC is going against your own strategy of violence against women and girls?
Well, firstly, I welcome Southall Black Sisters to Mayor's question. I know them very well. In my previous life, I gave them pro bono advice on a regular basis, and I'm proud to have done so. So what MOPAC announced in 2019 was a 2-year service called the London Holistic Advocacy Wraparound Service. So it's a 2-year worth of funding. Everyone knew it was going to be 2 years funding, which would have ended in 2021. The work that was undertaken under this limited funding was so life-changing and life-saving. I extended it from 2021 up until 2025. She'll be aware, because of less money from the Ministry of Justice, our ability to carry on with the LHAWAS service, the wraparound service. I couldn't carry on.
I understand your commitment here, but unfortunately, the new rules of your domestic abuse safe accommodation programme means that Southall Black Sisters will struggle to get funding from next April because they work in a partnership model with smaller organisations. Will you review this rule?
Well, Chair, I'd like to finish the third question fully. And so what we've done is we've made sure there are other funding, grant funding available to groups like SBS. So there is a DASA grant funding, which I've talked about, which is already funding equivalent services provided by others. I know MOPAC are in close contact with Southall Black Sisters and with potential other funders as well. My understanding is that the DASA funding funds equivalent services, but through a funding stream, and that funding wasn't supposed to end in 2021, so we can carry that forward. But I'm more than happy for my team to carry on working with not just Southall Black Sisters, but other services that provide services that are from the community for the community.
I'm so pleased that you've shown your support to Southall Black Sisters, but they'd like to discuss with you directly the need for that long-term, stable funding for their vital work. That doesn't mean that they end up with 6-month gaps that they have been having to struggle to find money for. Would you be willing to meet them? They're here today.
Look, we can't have a proper debate at Mayor's question time if people try and run out their time and not let me answer the questions. It's just not possible.
Will you be willing to meet